A very warm welcome to our August gathering as we assemble here today to mark the 32nd Foundation Day of Software Technology Parks of India. As we are all aware, STPI, a premier organization established on 5th June 1991 under Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, is engaged in promoting IT ITeS industry, innovation, R&D, startups, product IP creation in the field of emerging technologies. Lately, STPI has been establishing centers of entrepreneurship, that is, technology incubators for building India's leadership in various domains across the country in a collaborative manner. With that context, the theme for this Foundation Day is Growth Avenues for Indian IT Industry and Emerging Tech Ecosystem. I now take the opportunity to invite on stage our chief guest, Shri Alkesh Kumar Sharma, Secretary, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, joined by Shri Arvind Kumar, Director General, STPI. Many thanks for joining us, sir. We are also joined by Dr. Ajay Chaudhary, Founder, HCL, and Chairman, EPIC Foundation. May I also request Dr. Anand Deshpande, Founder, Chairman, and MD, Persistent Systems to join us on stage, please. We also have with us Dr. Ganesh Natarajan, Chairman, 5F World and Honeywell India, and Ms. Padmaja Ruparil, co-founder, Indian Angel Network and founding partner, IAN Fund, along with Dr. Devesh Tyagi, Senior Director, Software Technology Parks of India, on stage, please. I now request Shri Arvind Kumar ji to please welcome our chief guest, Shri Alkesh Kumar Sharma. Thank you, sir. Also, it's the World Environment Day today, and it's high time for us to stand for what we stand on. So, a plant symbolizing the same. Thank you, sir, for doing the honors. I now request Dr. Devesh Tyagi ji to please welcome our dignitaries, Dr. Ajay Chaudhary, Dr. Anand Deshpande, Dr. Ganesh Natarajan, Ms. Padmaja Ruparil, Thank you for that, sir. We shall now commence the lamp lighting ceremony. As per Indian traditions, the lighting of lamp holds deep significance, representing the triumph of light over darkness and wisdom over lack of knowledge. Just like how a single lamp can dispel darkness, so too can each of us illuminate the lives of others. I would request you all please join us for the lamp lighting ceremony.
दीपज्योति परं ज्योति दीपज्योति परं ज्योति दीपज्योति जनार्दनः
To get the ball rolling, I would now take the opportunity to invite Shri Arvind Kumarji, Director General STPI, to please deliver the welcome address. He has been steering the efforts of STPI to focus on the growth of IT industry, software product ecosystem in the country by enabling a conducive environment and necessary infrastructure pan-India for the growth of the industry, small and large, and tech startups. Under his able leadership, STPI has been going onwards and upwards. We look forward to hearing from you, sir. Over to you.
Thank you. Namaste and good morning to all of you. It's my privilege to welcome you all on the occasion of STPI Foundation Day. It's a very proud moment for all of us. We have completed 32 years journey. We started our journey since 1991. Now we have completed 32 years serving this IT industry. On this very occasion, I would like to congratulate whole IT industry, STPNs and all. I feel very honored to welcome our Honorable Secretary to Government of India in Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, Shri Alkesh Kumar Sharma ji, who always guide us and motivate us for taking various important initiatives for promotion of IT industry and startup ecosystem in this country. I also welcome renowned industry veteran, technology transform leaders, Shri Ajay Chaudhary ji, who is founder, SCL and chairman, Epic Foundation, Dr. Anand Deshpande, founder, chairman and managing director, Persistence System, Dr. Garesh Natarajan, chairman, 5 World and Honeywell India, Ms. Padamja, co-founder, Indian Angel Networks. I welcome all respected dignitaries of the dais, all distinguished invitees and media on this occasion. Before moving forward, I would like to brief something about STPI achievements, what we have achieved so far. When in 1991 STPI was created, established, there were 3 major issues. One was with respect to high-speed internet connectivity. You know, when this STPI was started, there was a 64 kilobits per second connectivity in this country. STPI has taken a lot of initiatives, and we were able to serve the IT industry by providing high-speed connectivity so that they were able to export their softwares from this country to the world. There was issue with respect to computing devices as well. STPI established 3 centers across the country in the beginning, where we were providing mainframe computers. Our technical engineers can come there, can work there, generate the software for this country, which can be exported across the world. Third, which is most important, is we were able to create ease of doing business. We were able to create single window system in 1990s, when now today every department is talking about the ease of doing business. Every department is talking about the single window clearance system. We have been champion. We have excelled. We have shown to the country, to the world, that yes, single window system can be created. We were only interface for the IT industry when it comes to whether custom department, state government, or anything else. This is all we were able to do. We have reached from 3 centers to today 63 centers. We continued to change our role. Then we thought that there is a need to create good incubation space so that tech entrepreneurship, young entrepreneurs can work in this country. Today, from 3 centers, now we are 63. By the end of this year, we will have 75 centers. We have created 1.3 million square feet space to provide incubation space to our technical people, our entrepreneurs, our innovators. Apart from it, that 63 centers, not 63 centers is important. Important is that we have created, out of 63, 55 centers are in tier 2, tier 3 cities. So this is one example how we have taken care of inclusive growth in this country. Today, from STPI registered unit, there is a software export of around more than 7 lakhs crore from this country. For balanced growth of this country, we have also taken some policy initiative, some implementation of the policies which has been entrusted by Ministry of Electronics to us. We have implemented very successfully, it's called BPO scheme in this country. Now we are implementing, it's called EMC scheme, Electronic Manufacturing Scheme, which is of 3762 crore, 3,762 crore, which we are implementing as of now. And now this date has been extended up to March 24 with the intervention of our Honorable Secretary. Now date has been extended. We have requested that date should be extended. Now we can, any state government can apply up to March 24. With this, we have also now, with the time, we have also created Center for Entrepreneurship across the country. We are also implementing a scheme of Government of India, Ministry of Electronics, which is called Next Generation Incubation Scheme, where we are providing 25 lakh rupees seed fund to each startup who is selected with STPI. And we have created 20 Center for Entrepreneurship across the country in various domains. And some of the chief mentors of those Center for Entrepreneurship are before you. We have created very good Center for Entrepreneurship at Pune, it's called Motion. Sri Ganesh Nasrajanji, who is sitting here, he is chief mentor of that very Center for Entrepreneurship. We have created very successful Center for Entrepreneurship. It was one Center for Entrepreneurship. At that time, people were only thinking about the Center for Entrepreneurship. Under the guidance of Ajay Chaudhary sir, we have created one Center for Entrepreneurship in Delhi, in NCR, in Delhi University. I think they has created more than 50 products. As valuation is around 500 crores. So a lot of things has been done by the STPI along with the industry. Today we are supporting around more than 1,000 startups in this country. We used to conduct outreach program so that we can cater all engineering student, final year student. We have conducted around more than 500 outreach program. We have conducted number of mentoring session. 1,000 mentoring session has been done. Similarly, a startup has also created number of employment, like more than 10,000 employment has been generated because of this startup ecosystem. 446 IPR has been generated. So this has been long journey from the STPI, which started from 3 centers limited to promotion of IT ITeS services. Now we are more in a startup ecosystem. We are in the guidance of Honorable Secretary. We are working on that. I am sure that this decade will be defining moment in establishing India's leadership in emerging technology space, and STPI will play a key role, nurturing and empowering the next generation entrepreneurship who will shape the future of our nation. Let us together embark on this journey of innovation and transformation, where every startup has the opportunity to compete and succeed on global stage. Thank you all for being a part of this incredible journey. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Many thanks to you, sir, for walking us through the incredible journey of STPI so far. With that context, I now request the AV team to please play a short video to help us walk through the path-breaking journey of STPI over the past 32 years.
India, a land of innovation and technology, has witnessed a remarkable journey in the field of software development and IT services. And this transformational journey has been possible because of one organization known as Software Technology Parks of India, established on 5th June 1991 by the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. After merging 3 STPs, STPI has been instrumental in facilitating software exports and driving the growth of the Indian IT or ITeS industry to newer heights. It provides a conducive ecosystem for software companies, startups and entrepreneurs, enabling them to thrive in a highly competitive global market. STPI provides statutory services, datacom services, incubation services, centers of entrepreneurship, next generation incubation scheme, BPO schemes, VAPT. To IT or ITeS companies, startups, government and academic institutions. Over the last 3 decades, STPI has been providing single window clearance services to the software exporters, which has catalyzed the growth of software exports from the country. Due to the right policy measures and liberal style of functioning, software exports from STPI registered companies marked an exponential growth from 52 crore rupees in 1991 to over 7 lakh crore rupees in 2023. Likewise, from 3 STPI centers in 90s to 63 centers today, STPI has created 13.5 lakh square feet state-of-the-art infrastructure across country, out of which 8.1 lakh square feet is in Tier 2 and 3 cities, with 5 Tier 3 compliant data centers. STPI is implementing MATI's schemes such as BPO Promotion Scheme and Electronics Manufacturing Cluster 2.0 scheme. BPO Promotion Scheme was implemented to create employment opportunities for youth in Tier 2 and 3 cities. 246 BPO units have so far provided direct employment opportunity to 52,278 youths. EMC 2.0 scheme for building a comprehensive ecosystem for electronic system design and manufacturing. Under this scheme, 5 projects have been approved with an investment of 20,819 crore rupees and likely to generate over 66,000 job opportunities for the youth. With the support of STPI, the Indian IT or ITeS industry has provided excellent and cost-effective services to the international clients. This has enabled India to become the preferred IT destination in the world. This sector is one of the largest contributors to India's GDP, foreign exchange earnings, and generation of significant employment opportunities to the youth. As the Indian IT or ITeS industry has matured enough to move up the value chain, STPI has taken the lead in nurturing the startup ecosystem pan-India as envisioned under the Digital India Initiative and National Policy on Software Products 2019. STPI has envisioned establishing 25 centers of entrepreneurship, out of which 22 centers of entrepreneurship have been established in the domains like Internet of Things, blockchain, fintech, artificial intelligence, gaming and animation, among others. The objective is to nurture around 2,000 startups to bring innovation-driven emerging tech startups ecosystem in collaborative manner pan-India. Today, 398 startups are leveraging the lab and infrastructure facilities of state-of-the-art centers of entrepreneurship and developed 480 products and filed 249 IPRs. To support startups pan-India, Next Generation Incubation Scheme has been implemented from 12 Tier 2 locations. Under this scheme, seed funding of up to 25 lakh rupees is provided to each beneficiary or supported startup based on the innovativeness of the idea, the novelty of solutions and strength of the team. The scheme has so far funded 82 startups and supported total of 352 startups who have developed 531 products and filed 194 patents. These initiatives and efforts will transform our country into a software product nation and will help in economic growth and create ample opportunities for the youth. STPI is poised to catalyze the ecosystem in the decade of opportunities. The story of STPI is a testament to the power of vision, perseverance, and technological excellence. Together, we shall continue to shape India's tech future.
fantastic. The video brings out that the success you have doesn't happen to you, but because of you. And the efforts of STPI have been exemplary in evolving and involving the stakeholders to become more agile and nimble without compromising on credibility and diligence. May I now request Ms. Padmaja Ruparil, co-founder, Indian Angel Network and founding partner, IAN, to please share her perspectives. Indian Angel Network is India's first and one of the world's largest business angel groups. Ms. Ruparil is also the founder of Bio Angels, a sector-focused angel investor group in partnership with Biotechnology Industry Research Assistance Council. She got recognized with top awards, including Top 50 Most Powerful Women in Business by Fortune India for 4 years, Forbes India's Women Trailblazers, and 30 Most Powerful Women in India. That's a very inspiring journey indeed. Looking forward to listening from you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Good morning to all the honored guests on the dais. Thank you for having me here. Today, when I stand on this dais, I actually feel I'm coming back to my alma mater, because as I come from the IT industry and worked for a software company very early days, and I understand the real power that STPI enabled in those very early days through the STPI scheme. It literally unlocked what today we know as the IT industry and became a global industry and probably the face of New India. So STPI has been a forerunner and literally bred, in some ways, the early days of the IT industry. I stand here more as an investor, as a mentor of investing in early stage startups. That's what I do as a co-founder of IAN. For those who don't know, IAN is basically a single largest platform for seed and early stage investing in the country. We've bred about 235 companies now across various sectors, either tech or tech enabled. We've invested about 1,000 crores, and we now have our companies which have raised over 18,000 crores. We've had our share of unicorns, 3 of them, 5 Sunicorns, but I think what is much, much more important is the power of startups. We've had companies which have innovated across sectors. We've invested in sectors like space tech, drones, agri. But that is where the opportunity lies, to be honest with you. Technology today is a key enabler, either as a product or as a platform. It is the only way, I think, that we can have valuable companies which can grow very rapidly. Now, that's where we've started. But today we are seeing a generational change in technology. If you think of GI, if you think of AI, ML, all of those are creating very innovative products which can not only change the way we live, but the way we operate. And that's the huge opportunity. The IT industry has already started to build the foundations of tech talent in this country. But how do we take this to the next level? I think that's the challenge. Because unless we have very deep, high-quality talent, which we breed in this country, I think we will not make it, to be honest, of building very valuable startups. And I think that's what, with STPI's incubation ecosystem that you are leading, Mr. Arvind Kumar, I think that's the opportunity that we are seeing. And it couldn't be done better than in our country, because we are such a diverse, large country that we can build, experiment, grow these companies, and take them global. When we at IAN look at companies, we think of only 2 things. 1 is the entrepreneur team, and 2, as investors, what can we get? Because those are the only 2 resources that any startup needs, people and funds. We are trying to bring that funding to young startups, and that is the genesis of the IAN STPI partnership that we are announcing today, to really bring to these STPI incubators the incubating companies, the funding, and helping them grow. We are not only saying that we will invest funds, we are also saying that we do this for the last decade and a half, we bring very high quality mentors. We bring people who work, who've been there, done that, who actually work with the startups, help them build their companies, guide them, and take them global. And I think that's what actually is much more powerful than just the check writing. So as we stand here today, what is our ambition? If you look at 2022, $450 billion went into startups, was invested in startups. India garnered 25 billion, just a little over 5%. How can we change that? How can we grab a much larger share of the pie? That's the challenge. And there's no way we cannot do it. We do have the talent, we do have the market, we do have the enablers. I think it's just coming together to keep building higher quality talent, to help these founders actually build generationally paradigm change in the products that they're doing. Build in India, grow them in India, we have a market here, but then go global. That's the challenge that we have. And that's what we want to do and start doing with STPI. So on that note, I really welcome this partnership that we're trying to forge with STPI, Mr. Kumar.
Thank you for that, Ms. Ruparil. It was an absolute pleasure listening to you. I now take the opportunity to invite Dr. Ganesh Natarajan, Chairman, 5F World and Honeywell India, to share his views. 5F World is a platform for digital startups, skills, and social ventures in the country. Dr. Natarajan is also the co-founder of Lighthouse Communities Foundation, Global Talent Track, and Skills Alpha. Not just that, he is also the member of the Central Board of Directors of State Bank of India and serves on the boards of Hinduja Global Solutions, Systech Incorporation USA, Educate Girl, and the Asian Venture Philanthropy Network, Singapore. He is also contributing to STPI's startup initiative. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, and pleasure to be on the same forum with Honorable Secretary Alkesh ji and of course DG Arvind Kumar ji, and very good friends from STPI in the audience. Dinesh sir, I think we've worked together for a very, very long time. Subodh, Sanjay Gupta, who I think has been in STPI Pune ever since I was a little baby, and Sonal ji, who's now in Gandhinagar, and so many of you. Thank you so much. I personally believe that, and I'm sure Mr. Vittal would share my thoughts, that STPI created the India revolution. I still remember, I think it was 88, I think it was 1988 or 89 when a small delegation met Mr. Vittal, who was then the secretary, what used to be called Department of Electronics, DOE. And that time the total revenue of the industry was maybe 40 crores. And at that time he gave us a challenge saying that, look, if I give you whatever you want from government, will you show me it can become 400 million? So when we came out, we said 400 million is a lot of crores, but we will forget the million and we'll say 400 to karenge hi. Okay, so 400 became 400 crores, was the target we internally took on. I mean, who would imagine at that point of time that this industry could become $250 billion? And I think as we build the $1 trillion digital India that I'm sure Secretary Saab and the ministers are planning to do, we will really remember STPI as laying the foundation. And today I'm fortunate that Sanjay ji requested me to chair the mentorship group of the Motion COE, which is doing fantastic work because it is doing what I believe STPI should do in the future, which is enabling industries across with technology. And what we are seeing in the startups emerging from Motion, the partnerships with the Tata Group and the Mahindra Group, is to my mind a microcosm of a role model of what can be successful partnering of STPI with industry. So it's not just the industry creation, but creating the $5 trillion India thanks to the $1 trillion digital India. And I think that's the objective that many of us have in this country. Padmaja, of course, talked about startups, which is extremely important. And I still remember, when you look at the industry, it's now very neatly structured. Okay, we still have the fairly large IT services industry. We still have the business process management, or BPO as used to be called in those days, and I serve on the board of one of them, Hinduja Global Solutions. And we have, of course, engineering services, which has come a long way since its early beginnings in the country. And then we have multiple. I mean, we have what used to be called the captive centers, or what we now call the global in-house centers, which are doing fantastic work across. Okay, I mean, if you look at entities like Cisco or even HSBC, I mean, these are all scaled and employing people in multiple parts of the country. The good news also is, I mean, there was a time when almost 90% of the revenues of this industry used to come from just 7 cities. Today it's much more broad-based. And I think that's the value that we see that this industry adding. So if I look at the future and say what can be achieved in this country, I'm sure Dr. Ajay Chaudhary, who is a very good friend, when we wrote our first book on facing up to the India challenge about 3 years back, we actually quoted Ajay as saying that, look, at that point of time, we may have missed the hardware and the electronics bus. But I think what Secretary was telling us and what we've read in the press, there's this huge focus on electronics, semiconductors, etc., which will take us to that right position, that we cannot be a single trick pony, as we call it in the US, but I mean, it can be multiple entities working together, including hardware, telecommunications, software, etc. So I think that will build the digital India and maybe a $5 trillion digital economy as we go across. So I think that's very, very clear. I mean, I serve on the State Bank of India board. 73% of payment transactions today are happening through UPI. And UPI is a phenomenon which you will rarely see in the world. I mean, even 6 months back, I was in Chicago airport in the US, and I had to give a $5 bill to get a $2 cup of coffee. She did not have a credit card machine. And when I gave her $5 and said, look, can you give me $3 back? She said, how does that work? So I was explaining to her that, look, if you take $2, you have to give me back $3, that makes $5. And yahan on my golf course day before yesterday, I went and gave him a 500 rupee note. He said, sir, GPay karo na. I mean, this is the difference, okay, between a so-called developing economy and a developed economy. And I think our External Affairs Minister, Mr. Jaishankar, has been talking about this. So that is what we are seeing. And again, if you look at ONDC today, the Open Network for Digital Commerce, I mean, they're actually having to now stop subsidies because some of the large companies are scared that ONDC will transform. Very similar to the payments ecosystem. And I still remember on the State Bank board, we used to measure UPI transactions as 18%, 25%, 40%, now 73% within a period of 18 months. So what is happening is, thanks to UPI, thanks to the multiple platforms that I'm sure we will see coming from METI, you will see not only platforms for payments, but platforms for SMEs, platforms for Agritech, platforms for skills, platforms for education, healthcare in this country, and that will completely transform Bharat as we see it today. I mean, we were all delighted when Prime Minister Modi announced that we will have the National Optic Fiber Network working in this country. So, I mean, if you imagine maybe 20 to 50 Mbps Wi-Fi or bandwidth available at every one of the 250,000 gram panchayats, and eventually in 700,000 villages in this country, there will be no Indian left behind. And if I may conclude by saying what could be the agenda for Department of Electronics, which is now, of course, METI and STPI, I think 3 things are paramount in my mind. One is, of course, we are all excited about the future of the industry. And as you rightly said, sir, I mean, if we continue to play an enabler role, which continue to make big companies, whether it's a Honeywell or it's a TCS or a Persistent, to grow successfully out of India, then we would have succeeded in being a real enabler of the ecosystem. The second, of course, is the data role. I mean, today we're all concerned on one side with data availability, data processing, the whole AI, ML space, etc., etc. And predictive analytics is really going to be the way we will build a future for Bharat. But can we play a proper role? And we are already seeing the data privacy bill coming through, cybersecurity, all the issues of making sure that private data is clearly protected and public data is available to as large an environment as possible, which can use it to make our life simpler. So I think that policy enabling role is continuing to be extremely important. And the third is, I mean, we've all heard Prime Minister of UK, Rishi Sunak, talking about, governing artificial intelligence, for instance. The reality is, and I hope I am allowed to say this, that our investments in AI so far have not been adequate as a country. I mean, I remember speaking in Tianjin, which is a neighboring city of Beijing in China, and I was talking to the mayor of Tianjin. This is like 6 years ago. The investments that the city of Tianjin was making in artificial intelligence was more than the entire investment made by India. And today, I think we have an opportunity. I mean, we talked about, and you said, sir, I mean, augmentative artificial intelligence, which is so right. I mean, we don't want autonomous artificial intelligence. We don't want job losses wherever possible. We are beyond assistive artificial intelligence. But augmenting the capabilities of societies, companies, nations, and every Indian is what we want AI to do. So the delicate balance between promoting artificial intelligence, at the same time ensuring that ChatGPT and maybe generative artificial intelligence don't get out of hand, I think that's a very delicate task that MeitY has to play. So I'm looking forward to this role, the continuing enabler role, the governance role as and when there is a light touch of governance required, particularly in data, and finally, the ability to really take new technology and make the common man appreciate it, not be scared of it, and take it forward. Having seen, I still remember when I first interacted with the first Minister of IT, Shri Pramod Mahajan. Pramodji had a famous statement, and we were all together in Portugal in, I think it was 2000, and it was Prime Minister Vajpayee's industry delegation. And Pramodji first came up with this fantastic line saying, he was talking about Sushmita Sen and Aishwarya Rai, and he said only 2 industries in India have grown without the support of government. One is beauty and the other is IT. And he said, I'm proud to keep it happening. But having said that, that's not true. And I was telling Secretary Sir also that the guiding hand of the industry has been government, and we owe a lot to government for making it happen. So let partnerships like this flourish, and let us build Digital India together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Natarajan, for sharing your take in such a lucid manner. In that context, I would say maybe we can say the ABCDs of business have changed, with A standing for artificial intelligence, B for blockchain, C for cloud, and D for data analytics. And going forward, that is what would separate the leaders from the laggards. Now to continue, I now request Dr. Anand Deshpande, founder, chairman, and MD, Persistent Systems, to share his perspectives. As the founder, Dr. Deshpande has been the driving force for the growth of Persistent Systems since its inception in the 1990s to the publicly traded global company of today. He is also associated with some very prestigious organizations and not-for-profits, including NASSCOM's Executive Council, Association for Computing Machinery India, and CII's Pune Zonal Council. In addition to that, Dr. Deshpande is the founding member of iSpirit, Interinstitutional Inclusive Innovation Center, and De Asra Foundation. He has also been contributing to STPI's startup initiative. The stage is all yours, sir.
Thank you very much. Let me first wish STPI a very happy 32nd anniversary. Thank you, Mr. Secretary, for being here for this amazing event. I am eternally grateful to the STPI scheme and to the Secretary at that point, Department of Electronics, Mr. N. Vittal. Our company would not have started or existed without their active support. And I want to take this opportunity to thank him for his support and share a story of how we got started. And I think that's quite interesting. So I'm going to take this opportunity to share a short story here. So I used to work in Hewlett-Packard Laboratories in Palo Alto. And in '89, Mr. Vittal visited the Bay Area, and he gave a talk and asked people to come back. I had an inclination of coming back, but this whole thing that they were setting up an STP in Pune, which was my home city, really encouraged me to take a step and came back. So I came back in October 1990. And my father had registered ourselves in the STP Pune scheme. And STP Pune at that time was 8,000 square feet of space for the entire STP. And they were given to 14 companies, okay? So that's the vision we had at that point. And I didn't get one of the spaces because they said, oh, you're not registered, you don't have any exports from the past, all kinds of reasons. So, they said, oh, we are coming up with another place. But it took me about 6 months of really hard struggle to convince, oh, let's get started. And I was quite frustrated, and I'm going to share dates because I'm really, I believe that if someone wants to get things done, IAS officers such as the secretaries here can really make things happen. So I wrote a letter to Secretary DOE on the 10th of March in 1991, saying I'm really frustrated, I don't have space, I want to be here, and I'm not getting anything. So that letter I sent by speed post to the minister. Just Sunday is when I wrote it, Monday is when I sent it, Tuesday he got it. Tuesday evening he called up the director STP Pune, which at that time was Mr. Patki. And he said, come to Delhi. And Delhi, Pune, we used to have 3 flights a week. So he took the Thursday flight, met the secretary. The secretary told him, how many companies have come out of those 14 in your STP? So there was nobody there. They had been allocated space. So what the secretary told Mr. Patki is just vacate your office, give it to this guy, let him start, and you keep moving till the last office is occupied. Okay? And this he said on the 14th, 15th I got the keys, 16th was a holiday, meaning there was, and 17th was Gudi Padwa, which is our New Year day. And we started on Gudi Padwa, March 17th, 1991. As a small investment from my pocket, I put 2 lakh rupees in my business. Today that is worth 11,500 crores. Okay? And we would not have existed without the STP and the great support we got from Mr. Vittal. And I'm eternally grateful to STP for having made this happen for me. And I'm very sure it's not only done this for me, but for many other companies all across the ecosystem. And without STP, the industry would not exist the way it is today. So I'm really grateful to all of you for all the work you do and the amazing work you've done. And also the power that the secretaries have really made me stand up and believe that India can make things happen. There may be lots of bureaucracy, but the bureaucrats can make a difference. Okay? So thank you very much for that. Now, as we look ahead, right, clearly at that point, as was mentioned already, we had several different challenges. Today, the world is very different. We are staring at India's decade, as the Prime Minister calls it. And the STP scheme has a huge opportunity to make a difference. And I want to share 4 ideas for the STP scheme and the people here and the Secretary here as well. So the first idea I want to share is that while the government and STPI has been about software companies, I think we should move from being about software companies to being about software and technology. And I believe AI and software are going to be in the veins of every single business, every single activity that we do in the future. So instead of just focusing on the companies, let's focus on being the enabler for software and AI all across the company, improve on automation, processes, and all the other things. So let's really, really expand our focus from go beyond companies and look at the processes that we can change. So that'll be my first suggestion. The second thing, the comparer, she already talked about the ABCD. I want to change them a little bit and add some more to that. So of course, I agree with the A being AI. On the B, I would put biotechnology as a big opportunity for us in the future. I think there's a lot that's going to happen between computing and biology put together. C is, of course, cybersecurity, data, and digital. I think energy is going to be the big E that we have to worry about in addition to the electronics. Fintech is going to be the F, G is the government, H is the healthcare, and I is the India stack. Okay, so I'm just adding some more to your list. But the reality is that, action happens when we look at the intersections of different fields, right? So the point I'm trying to make is not so much about these different things, but the fact is that when we combine biotechnology with computing and bring different kinds of healthcare and software and all of these areas together, that's where innovation happens. Just pursuing the same things again and again will not make a difference. So that's the second point. The third point I want to make is that I think we need to focus very, very significantly on research. Today, if we look at India, we are not playing to our weight in the research context. Whether it's publications from India, conferences, amounts of research investments, the number of people we have created that have the capabilities to do research. And for the last several years, I've been fairly active in a bunch of universities, mainly centrally funded and state-funded universities. And I really see that we don't do enough about research in our country. And one suggestion I have is that, we have all these research labs in different areas. We don't have any computing and software research lab in India. And I would like to encourage MeitY to think about setting up a software research lab that is virtual across various cities with a huge center in the Silicon Valley. We have lots of Indians there. Chinese and the Huawei's are setting up centers in Bay Area. We should also set up a couple of centers where the technology is happening and ensure how we can accelerate research in a very big way. So I'm really very interested in seeing how we can enhance very significantly the researchers we have, access to researchers, communities of researchers, and not just focus on numbers at the bottom end, but focus on the high end of technology requirements. Because now we need to start to not just catch up, but dominate the world that is coming ahead if we want to make it our decade. And the last thing I want to mention, of course, is that it's amazing to see the investments in startups and all the activities in startups. But I would really like to help startups or work on startups that can scale. Because really having lots of startups that don't scale is not a very good situation. We are only extending their death in some sense. So having some ways to help these companies grow and successfully strengthen themselves is what I would love to see STPI focus on. Not just start with the startup, but see how we can get significant funding for them, find the best companies, help them grow bigger, and those which can't make it, help them get merged with some other bigger companies rather than running suboptimal companies. With this, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. And I'm delighted to be here at the 32nd, and I hope to be here at the 50th anniversary as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that, sir. It really resonated with the audience. And towards the end, you also gave us one more C, which is consolidation going forward. And may your success keep adding all the, I would say, D's and E's and all up to Z's. Thank you for that. I now request the visionary pioneer, the man behind India's $10 billion multinational IT services and consulting company, to enlighten us with his address. Give it up for Dr. Ajay Chaudhary, founder, HCL, and chairman, Epic Foundation. He is the visionary pioneer who founded HCL in 1976 with 5 others, with a vision to use the microprocessor to change the world. Dr. Chaudhary continues to contribute to India's growth story as a member of the Advisory Board of India's Semiconductor Mission of Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, as an esteemed member of the Consultation Group on Science and Technology and Innovation Sector of NITI Aayog. He was conferred with the Padma Bhushan in 2011. We look forward to listening from you, sir.
Thank you. We've had some wonderful talks till now, and I enjoyed listening to my good friend Ganesh, and then, of course, Anand. And I think I would like to build on what they have said. I think very rightly, the world is changing. And where is India's next opportunity is what we should be looking at. I think STPI has created a fantastic support system for the software industry. And they have been exceedingly successful in providing that enabler, which was essential to get it started and for it to scale. Now, if we start to look at where and what we need to be doing next, and I think Anand has talked about a few points. I would like to add a few more. What I think we need to be now looking at is that as the software industry has grown to scale, and when you get to this kind of scale, you start to see that we are now pretty much 30% of the world's outsourcing piece. And that is fantastic because that's an achievement which we as India should be extremely proud of. And all our software companies and startups have actually contributed to making that happen. But where do we go from here? I think the whole opportunity, if we look at, is about higher value addition. So till now, we have been in the services business. The services business is not high value addition. It is sort of starting to taper off. And we need to be very careful as we go forward that we need to move towards higher value addition. And rightly, as Anand pointed out, and Anand has been pretty much part of the leadership of iSpirit started to create an environment which was all about high value addition and products. And I think this is where, as a country, we need to move from low value addition to higher value addition in everything that we do. You know, you look at many industries in the country. Look at, we talk about as the largest diamond cutting country in the world. But we are still at the low value addition area. Who makes the money? The money is made by the Chinese because they make the machines that help you to cut diamonds. And the same was for, our clothing industry. We lost the leadership to Bangladesh because we were only at the lower end of the market. Who was making money? The Chinese, who were actually making the machines. So I think fundamentally we need to start to look at how do we move from where we are to where we want to be. And even in the software services business, we need to look at models where we will be able to go towards higher value addition. I've been noticing the decrease in margins in all software companies, including HCL. The margins are going down. And I think that is where we need to pay a lot of attention. We need to look at the next generation areas which will actually increase value addition and increase margins. And I think as an industry, we need to be very carefully deciding where we want to go. There are many open areas today. Those areas we need to focus and scale rather than look at where we are today. Now, startups and products is where I think the answer lies in a very, very big way. And we need to move towards this whole product area in a much bigger way. We've also done tremendously well in the engineering and R&D exports, $38 billion as I see the numbers. But we have much bigger opportunity. And that is what can actually help us to be in higher value addition as we go forward. I noticed from the presentation of STPI that STPI helped create 532 products. I think we need thousands and thousands of products. And that is where we need to be looking at. You know, you've created so many startups with STPI. We need to be looking at not 1,000, 5,000, we need to be looking at 10,000, 15,000. The numbers have to be very, very different from where we used to look at earlier. I think, as you said, sir, that very importantly, EODB has a very important part of what STPI has delivered. I think we need to look at where do we take this EODB next. And when you talked about expansion of the EMC scheme for hardware is my favorite subject. I was so happy to see that that extension of 1 year has been done. But maybe we should be looking at a 5-year extension because the hardware story is just about starting. We need to be looking at much longer term strategy. And how do we make this EMC 2.0 to 3.0 by actually looking at products and actually looking at EODB. So if you look at these parks that have been set up, the EMC parks, I think we need to move on from looking at providing land to providing plug-and-play facilities. Just what you did in software, you need to do that in hardware. And if we actually provide vertical factories with plug-and-play facilities, your revenues will start in 6 months. If you keep giving land and expect EMC to happen, it'll take 3 years or 4 years. People will be building factories, and it takes very long. Our objective is 5 trillion and 1 trillion. And if those are our objectives, we need to create a model which is much faster in creating revenue. You know, till yesterday, we were thinking of India as a growth, linear growth. 5 se 7 jayenge, 7 se 9 jayenge. Those kind of things we were thinking. I think we need to change our thinking. In the next 20 years, if we really want to go much faster and forward, we need to go from linear growth to exponential growth. And to look at everything that can make exponential growth happen? I think that is where the answer lies for the country, so that we can go fast forward and seize the opportunities that are really staring at us. So I think great work has been done by STPI in creating the infrastructure and the support system. We have also created a fantastic digital public infrastructure, which Ganesh talked about. I think we should be very, very proud of what we have achieved. But I think opportunity now lies in higher value addition. We need to go towards, very strongly towards product development. The Electropreneur Park that I was involved with in Delhi University created 50 odd products and 55 patents. But I think we need to multiply that thousands of times, not just linear growth, but exponential growth. I think that is where we need to be if we want to be exceedingly successful. And we need to re-look at every model that we have been looking at today. Software, yes, growth has been fantastic, but where do we go next? What should be the new models? Which areas do we invest in? Which areas we should promote? And how do we involve startups in the whole system in a much bigger way than what we are doing today? And I'm very happy to see that you're actually giving away 25 lakhs to each startup. But we need thousands of these startups to get 25 lakhs, and not just the hundreds that we are at this stage. So I think this is where we need to be going. And if we can do EODB in an EMC, and what I mean by that, in every EMC, STPI should ask people to appoint a nodal officer or a CEO. And that person should be fully responsible for taking care of all pinpricks of manufacturing companies. I have run a manufacturing company for 30 odd years, and I must tell you, there is a pinprick every day. How can we now take that all away and create an environment where we can actually produce products without any pinpricks? And I think this is where STPI can play a huge role in its next generation EMC model. And I would request the Secretary, sir, to kindly look at this whole area of recharging the whole EMC model. So I think there are tremendous opportunities for us to go towards in terms of more and more value addition and exponential growth. That's really where India should be going. Thank you.
Many thanks for that aspirational and pragmatic address, sir. At STPI, we believe in cultivating a robust support ecosystem for startups, equipping them with necessary resources, encompassing both hardware and software labs, as well as providing knowledge, guidance, mentoring, networking opportunities for funding and investment. Recognizing the importance of dynamic and supportive ecosystems through hand-holding and guidance from a strong community of academia, incubation networks, knowledge partners, and investors community is the evolution of startups today. STPI and STPI Next is taking a significant stride by adding 2 significant partners to its 150 plus strong partner ecosystem. First, we have an MOU between Bootstrappers Research Council BRC of SRM Institute of Science and Technology and STPI Next on lines to further enlarge the support ecosystem to the early stages of startups. BRC, SRM Institute and STPI Next are coming together to provide incubation support and facilities to entrepreneurs in the areas of fintech, deep tech and ICT. The target is entrepreneurs and startups requiring support, including access to fintech sandbox, networking, joint incubation and more. May I please call on stage Dr. Shantanu Patil, Director, Directorate of Entrepreneurship and Innovation, SRM Institute of Science and Technology, to join Dr. Sanjay Tyagi, Director, STPI Chennai, to exchange the MOU between BRC, SRM Institute of Science and Technology and STPI Next. capturing the moment with a memorable picture. And now, we shall proceed with an MOU between Indian Angel Network and STPI Next. Recognizing the importance of the investor community in the growth of startups, the next crucial step is of providing direct hand-holding support from the investor community. Renowned within the global investment community, the Indian Angel Network, that is IAN, is a distinguished consortium of primarily Indian angel investors who are actively involved in funding early-stage startups. The IAN stands out as the perfect partner with extensive experience and expertise in investment. By associating with IAN through this MOU, STPI aims to empower startups with comprehensive support. The much-needed knowledge support, expert mentorship, and constructive investment decisions with IAN would nurture startups into an investment-ready enterprise and secure investment. The expert and experienced professionals associated with the Indian Angel Network will help in addressing the need of startups located across the country. I would request Ms. Padmaja Ruparal, co-founder IAN and founding partner IAN Fund, in presence of Dr. Ajay Chaudhary, board member IAN, and Dr. Divesh Tyagi, senior director STPI and MD STPI Next, to please step forward to exchange the MOU between IAN and STPI Next. We take the opportunity to thank Ms. Padmaja Ruparal for coming forward during the next Unicorn and Mission to USA National Conclave in December 22 to express her interest in supporting STPI startups. Thank you and many congratulations once again. Yes, ma'am, please.
I would like to actually thank STPI. This partnership we announced literally in 5 minutes at the last Unicorn event, and it actually seeing the light of day. But from IAN, I must also acknowledge that this couldn't have happened without my partner, Rajneesh Kapoor, who's not been able to join us today because he's unwell. So, Rajneesh, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. These MOUs signify a significant step towards creating a collaborative ecosystem for startups, enabling them to thrive and reach their full potential. By leveraging the expertise and support provided by our partners, startups can accelerate their growth trajectory and establish themselves as successful ventures in the competitive startup landscape. Next on, we are proud to be releasing the Agritech report as a part of the STPI Knowledge Up series, which is a significant step towards addressing the knowledge-related needs of these startups. These knowledge reports serve as valuable resources for startups, helping them gain a competitive edge, make informed decisions, attract investment, and navigate their industry landscape with confidence. By leveraging the insights and information provided by these reports, startups can optimize their strategies, accelerate growth, and increase their chances of success. This is the fourth report under this series, which focuses on the core sector of India, the agriculture and agri-tech sector of India. The report, Innovations Through Agritech, a study on the adoption and impact of technology on agri and agri-allied sectors, showcases insights, information, and analysis related to various aspects of agri and agri-allied sectors, through which startups would get a deeper understanding of the market landscape, including market trends, customer preferences, competitive analysis, and emerging opportunities. I now request the AV team to please play a short video to walk us through the same. I now take the opportunity to request the dignitaries on the dais to please release the report. A proud moment indeed for all of us present here. Thank you for that. Now the moment that we all have been waiting for, I would request our chief guest, Shri Alkesh Kumar Sharma, Secretary, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, to share his thoughts and words of encouragement. He is an Indian Administrative Services Officer from Kerala cadre. In his current role, he has spearheaded India's growth in electronics manufacturing and semiconductor, advancing of digital economy, IT and IT ITeS industry, R&D in electronics, IT and cybersecurity, tech startup ecosystem, policies around data governance framework, and more. Mr. Sharma was earlier serving as Additional Secretary and Secretary in the Cabinet Secretariat Government of India. We are truly grateful for your presence and for all the support that you have been rendering to STPI over the years, sir. The stage is all yours.
Thank you, distinguished dignitaries on the dais, starting from Ms. Padmaja, Dr. Ganesh Natarajan, Dr. Anand Deshpande, Mr. Ajay Chaudhary, my colleagues Arvind, Devesh, Amitesh, sitting in the audience, Sushil, and all the friends who have joined us today. I'm indeed find it very happy and indeed a matter of privilege and honor for me to be here this morning in your midst on this important occasion of 32nd STPI Foundation Day. While I extend my greetings to the whole STPI fraternity on this occasion, and I would like to congratulate you for taking this journey quite successfully in the last 32 years. I would also like to extend my greetings on the World Environment Day today, which is 5th of June. Again, if we look at our software industry, has also shown how it can contribute in maintaining our environment, developing eco-friendly technologies, also ensuring that we don't create too much of pollution. Not on the software side, but yes, maybe quite a bit on the hardware side. As has been spoken by my distinguished predecessors, I think I don't have to dwell upon what all has been done and how STPI has come a long way and how you have also benefited and you have actually contributed greatly in the development of India's IT ecosystem or technology ecosystem, I may call it. I remember when in 1970s, when a lot of our young graduates started moving from IITs and NITs and BITS Plani to so-called Silicon Valley or the Bay Area now, and to the United States. I think there was a lot of concern about it. But I'm so happy now that the people who have come back, they have become our champions. Either Mr. Deshpande or... So they have become our champions in India. And the people who are still there, I think many of them are among the top or top second or top third in the big tech companies in the United States. So they have become our ambassadors sitting in US and now looking at India in a big way, that how they can contribute back to their roots, back to the soil, which actually made them what they are today. I think that's a great achievement on both sides, and I would like to congratulate and compliment both people who have stayed back or come back and became local champions, like Mr. Ajay Chaudhary, or the people who went there, but they are still our ambassadors. They are promoting India's growth story sitting in the United States. About the technology part, we have been talking about the digital transformation, which has been a journey, which is the world is talking about today. I think has not come about just overnight. I think there have been sleepless nights. People have worked in the institutions, in our IITs, and in the government to ensure that we create this level, we become one of the top leaders when it comes to IT and the digital transformation. While India is moving from e-governance, which was the kind of campaign of 2000, early 2000, now we are moving into the next stage where we are saying that let's move away from e-governance to digital governance, where each service, every service to the citizen has to be online. It has to be an end-to-end digital delivery ecosystem. And to do that, a lot of suggestions have come here. While we are working on many of those, I would also ask STPI to look into that, and the team sitting here, both Amitesh and Sushil, to look at those, and let's see we come out with those policy reforms. But the mission is quite big. When we look at what we are doing, I think we are creating a six-pronged strategy. We have the 6 pillars of development to ensure that India becomes the lead in digital transformation, as we call it. The first one is about connectivity. And when we talk about connectivity, the government's mission is that in next 200 or less than 200 days now, every habitat of India, wherever it is situated, will be connected by whichever modes of digital connectivity, whether it is Wi-Fi, putting up TSA towers, fiber optics, BharatNet optic fiber network. All that has to be done, and by the end of this 2023 or early of 2024, there will be a complete connectivity. Second one is about the cost of data, which has helped India tremendously in building up its digital transformation. It's digital public infrastructure, which the world is talking about now. And that's about the cost of data. Probably the cost of data in India today is one of the cheapest in the world. And that has actually created this culture of developing. Everybody sitting on the street, sitting in the village, is able to download, is able to communicate, is able to make use of services by using our low-cost data. And third one is about the cost of device. India would not have come to what it is today unless had we not had 1,000 million mobile sets available with people today. I think that's the number. That has actually created, as we call that, the JAM Trinity, the Jan Dhan accounts, the Aadhaar, the unique identity system, and the mobiles. These 3 have created, so this device is again an important element, and we want to ensure that India should manufacture its devices right from the affordable level to the highest level to cater to all classes of society. And that is where the whole focus on our electronics manufacturing is coming up. Electronics hardware's target is 300 billion by 2026, and we'll be able to, we are striving to achieve that, and we are hopeful that we'll be achieving that. We are already the 2nd largest mobile manufacturer in the world, so there's time is not far, then we should become number 1. We are also looking at, and mobile is only one part. We are also looking at electronic hardware, the IT, PLI 2.0 on IT hardware will definitely give that push which industry wanted. We have got other schemes, whether it is SPACs or AMSIPs or putting up EMCs 2.0, and then we'll be looking at 3.0 as well as we move ahead. And while states have been creating a lot of their facilities, you go to any place, the plug-and-play facility has become a common name now. Gone are the days when I was in my early 90s, we used to talk about plug-and-play, plug-and-play. Now you go to every state, they'll tell you this is plug-and-play. And you come and set your shop. And I absolutely agree. The whole objective of this system should be that you must de-risk investment. And whatever that is needed, right from giving them a good land which is free from litigation, to give them power, water connectivity instantly. And then, of course, take care of their environment clearances, statutory clearances, ensure that the policies and the taxation parts are much better. And the whole objective is the government is working towards de-risking investment so that, we promote investment in India. And then we are also looking at the policy, which is the fourth pillar of the whole exercise. We are coming out with people-friendly policies, whether it is the digital personal data protection bill, whether it is Digital India Act of the Next Gen Act, whether we are looking at digital government policies and the national data governance policy, which will be largely ensuring that the non-personal data should be made available in a quality, in a form which is of good quality, which is in a common standards and protocols, so that it is used by the researchers, by the startup community, and by the industry at large. So on policy front, a lot of work is happening, and we are in the very advanced stage of some of those. We have all been talking about how India can become a global technology hub. That is the next pillar of our activities, while work is happening on the research and development in emerging technology, artificial intelligence. You have been talking about many of those things, including the latest generative AI, which we don't know. We are looking at how we ensure that the artificial intelligence or the generative AI actually should become an augmented intelligence for us. So, and we should move to the next level of productivity and simultaneously ensuring that there has to be a risk mitigation framework to ensure that anything, the kind of AI which may do user harm, has to be contained, and there have to be enough safeguards for those. So there's a lot of work happening on that. Semiconductor, we are doing a lot of research institutions working in the United States are now looking at India, and if all goes well, in next couple of weeks, you will see some of the companies announcing their plans in India. Fifth one is talent. We have all been talking about, and the so-called the latest generative AI has created a lot of vacuum on that level of talent. So we need to create talent which is future ready, which ensures that as technology changes, we must create a large pool, and STPI, NILET, the private sector institutions, government's own program of Future Skill Prime. There are multiple activities which are simultaneously happening to ensure that we not only create good skills, we also have to reskill our own employees and upskilling them so that they become industry ready, they become future ready workforce. And the fifth one is cyber security. Most important, because while India is now generating a humongous quantum of data, we also need to ensure that data is secure. The person's privacy has to be protected. The data which is given to the industry for its use has to be ensured that it is used without doing any harm to the user, to the person whose data is being used, and also ensure that the state actors who are trying to ensure that India's data could be stolen or taken out of India, we have to create enough protection mechanism, security mechanism to ensure the data is protected. Government is actively working on all of these, and I'm sure with industry support, we will be able to take these missions forward. And if all goes well in next 1 or 2 years, we will be having completely new set of policies, programs, schemes, technology hubs which will come up, and then of course a new set of talent which will ensure that India achieves its objective of digital transformation by 2027. Thank you.
Many thanks for that very gripping address, sir. Your astute and action-oriented inputs shall go a long way in ensuring a seamless transition towards an ecosystem which not just ensures optimum utilization, but also augments the existing technology and resources. I would now request Sri Arvind Kumar ji to present a memento to our chief guest, Sri Alkesh Kumar Sharma ji. Thank you, sir. I now request Shri Devesh Tyagi ji to please present a memento to our dignitaries, Dr. Ajay Chaudhary, Dr. Anand Deshpande, Dr. Ganesh Natarajan. A huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Miss Padmaja Ruparal. Thank you. May I now please invite Shri Devesh Tyagi ji to please propose the vote of thanks. Over to you, sir.
Good morning, all. Honorable Chief Guest, distinguished dignitaries on dais, my colleagues from STPI and industry, ladies and gentlemen. It is my proud privilege on behalf of Software Technology Parks of India to propose vote of thanks. It is indeed a pleasure moment for all of us to be together and witnessing this event together. At the outset, I thank Honorable Chief Guest and Secretary, Ministry of Electronics and IT, Sri Alkesh Kumar Sharma ji, for your presence and kind address. We are really enlightened with your knowledge and guidance. Today we had opportunity to hear you, and this is definitely encouraging for all of us in our all future endeavors. Your presence has definitely helped us in making the occasion memorable. Thank you very much, sir. A special thanks to industry leaders for your unwavering support and cooperation. On behalf of STPI, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed guests, Dr. Ajay Chaudhary ji, Dr. Anand Deshpande ji, Dr. Ganesh Natarajan ji, and Madam Padmaja Ruparel ji. Thanks for bringing out the industry perspective and way forward for STPI. Thank you very much, sir. I extend my sincere gratitude to Sri Arvind Kumar ji, our Director General STPI, for his consistent encouragement, advice, and guidance, not only in our day-to-day activities, but also to conduct this event. Thank you very much, sir. Our sincere thanks and gratitude to distinguished guests from industry, industry associations, and the startups. We are a partner with all of you, and we look forward to take this STPI to a newer height with your pure cooperations. Thank you very much. I would be failing in my duty if I do not convey my thanks to the print and electronic media for the efforts they are making for coverage of this event. Lastly, I thank all my colleagues from STPI who have been involved in the exercise for last few months. Without their cooperation and full support, the event would have not been possible. Thank you very much. Lastly, I will thank all of you present here for making time to be with us today. Thank you very much. We look forward to such association in future as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that, sir. This brings us to the end of the inaugural session. We shall now break for a small networking tea break for 30 minutes and assemble right back here to take forward the panel discussion waiting for you on the other side of the break. See you, everyone.
check, 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 check. Check, 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 check.
Reassemble and be seated as we would be beginning with our panel discussion now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We hope you are having a wonderful time at the 32nd Foundation Day. 32 is a very special number indeed. As per devotional literature, Lord Ganesha has 32 forms. 32 is also a very special number in the game of chess, be it having 32 black squares, 32 white squares, or 32 players at the beginning of the game. Mathematically also, 32 is a very cool number. So 1 to the power 1 plus 2 to the power 2 plus 3 to the power 3 equals to 32. And we are quite sure that STPI's 32nd Foundation Day would unfold unprecedented heights and success for the organization, thanks to the collective effort of each and everyone present here. It's time to get started. It's time to get started with the panel discussion on the very gripping and ubiquitous theme of understanding the nitty-gritties of India ahead, the decade of opportunities, and STPI's role in promoting emerging technologies ecosystem for enterprises across scale, geography, and sectors, and how to make businesses more agile and decision-making more robust. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Muhammad Ujale, Senior Assistant Editor, ET Government, to kindly moderate the session. Through his work, Mr. Ujale puts spotlight on the intersection of technology with government, public sector, defense, and large enterprises. He has also worked as a special correspondent for Indian Express Group, Financial Express, Express Computer, and CRN India, reporting on government technology, enterprise, IT, and consumer electronics. A huge round of applause for Mr. Ujale, ladies and gentlemen. We are also joined by Shri Bhuvnesh Kumar, Additional Secretary, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. He is an accomplished officer of the Indian Administrative Service of Uttar Pradesh cadre. In his current role, he is contributing to the R&D in electronics, electronics hardware manufacturing, HR development, and continues to contribute his expertise in streamlining personal matters. He has also held prestigious positions within the Uttar Pradesh government, including District Magistrate, Divisional Commissioner, Secretary, and Principal Secretary. May I also request Shri Suresh Raman, Vice President and Regional Head Chennai TCS, to join us on stage, please. With over 3 decades of experience in management consulting and IT industry, he manages the largest delivery center of TCS with over 90,000 associates and is also an active member in industry bodies, including Indo-Australian Chamber of Commerce, Madras Management Association, and the Tamil Nadu State Planning Commission Working Group on Industrial Policy. It is an honor to have you amongst us, sir. Also join me in welcoming Ms. Sairi Chehel, founder and CEO, She Rose and Mahila Money. Ms. Chehel is a serial entrepreneur and angel investor. A technology entrepreneur, she has straddled the best of both worlds in her ventures, ranging from Newslink to Flexi Moms and now She Rose. She Rose is an online ecosystem for women that offers them entrepreneurial and employment opportunities. She has been recognized for her achievements globally and is the proud recipient of the Femina Achievers Award, Cartier Award, Editor's Choice for L'Oreal Femina Women's Award, and more. We are also joined by Shri Sridhar Mupidi, co-founder, Purple Talk India Private Limited. He has founded and successfully led 4 companies over the course of over 2 decades of his dynamic journey so far. At Purple Talk, he specializes in anticipating how technology and its uses shall evolve and has been building solutions and services in a wide range of domains ranging from real-time web and social media to mobile apps space. A well-known figure in the mobile gaming industry, in his latest venture, Yes Norm, he led the company's initiatives of developing world-class mobile games for a global audience. He is also the founder of India Joy, the largest digital media festival in India. An eclectic professional, he has also been contributing to STPI startup initiative as chief mentor to Center of Entrepreneurship Octane in Nagaland. Next on, we have Dr. Shakti Goyal, Chief Architect and Data Scientist, Yatra Online Limited. A technology maven, Dr. Goyal is a product specialist and an absolute lover of data and analytics. In his 22 years of experience across an array of industry verticals, he has worked for major Fortune 500 companies such as American Stores, Oracle, State Street Corporation, and Fidelity Investments. Recognizing data as a corporate currency, Dr. Goyal was involved in an ambitious project of building an enterprise-wide data warehouse across all lines of business in the travel domain. Some of his past assignments include Chief Product and Technology Officer at Fairsend, Chief Technology Officer for the Financial Inclusion and Banking Division of Hindustan Computers Limited Infosystems, and CTO of Akash Education Services. A huge round of applause for our next panelist, Shri Suryansh Jalan, President FarEye Technologies. As president at FarEye, a supply chain management software company, he is responsible for setting the long-term vision and leveraging technology to create the future of deliveries alongside a passionate group of visionaries and innovators. After working at Caterpillar for 2 years, he co-founded Dipper, a SaaS platform for real-time transportation visibility and management. Dipper digitalizes millions of tons of data movement every month while processing over 100 million location pings to ensure that enterprise manufacturers have complete control over their supply chain. The exponential growth of Dipper under his able leadership led to its acquisition by FarEye in 2018. Give it up for our dynamic and elite panel, ladies and gentlemen. I now request Mr. Subodh Sachan, Director, Startups and Innovations at STPI, to please welcome our panelists, Shri Bhuvnesh Kumar, Mr. Muhammad Ojalay, Shri Suresh Raman. Miss Sairi Chehel. Thank you. I now request Mr. Amit Bansal, Director STPI, to please welcome ma'am. I now request sir to please welcome Shri Sridhar Mupidi. Dr. Shakti Goyal. Shri Suryansh Jalan. Once again, thank you to the Director STPI, Mr. Amit Bansal, for welcoming our panelists. Over to Mr. Ujale. We look forward to hearing the views from this elite panel. The stage is all yours, sir. I request the AV team to please recheck the mic.
Thank you so much for the nice introduction. And first of all, before we begin this panel discussion, on behalf of this very esteemed panelist, I would like to congratulate STPI for the celebration of 32nd Foundation Day. And we all understand the kind of work that you have played across the country in terms of dispersing the IT, creating an ecosystem for supporting the IT environment across the country. And since morning, we have been hearing some of the live use cases, especially the one shared by Mr. Deshpande, as to how this institute actually helped him the way he is today. So kudos to you and congratulations from our side. Now, coming to this panel discussion, which is very unique, and the word decade was basically coined by the Prime Minister. And the topic is India Ahead, Decade of Opportunities and Role Ahead for the STPI in promoting emerging technology ecosystem. So if you look at the technology ecosystem that we have created over the last more than decade, because India's story of setting up a technology platform is very old. I mean, it was started way back in 1970 when for the first time Department of Electronics was set up. In 76, you had the NIC, and then you had the Asiad Games in 83, and then NICNET was formed. And then 91, around 90, we have the liberalization policy, and all those good things came in the shape of STPI, and other institutes were formed. In 2006, you had the National E-Governance Plan, which completely democratized the way you access government services today. And recently, you have seen the kind of work that India has done, especially in terms of creating digital public infrastructure. You have UPI, you have GEM, you have Aadhaar. Now we are looking towards, as one of the speakers said earlier, towards the ONDC, Open Network for Digital Commerce. So those things are going to play a very important role. So I'll begin with you, Mr. Raman, since you come from TCS, and TCS being an organization which is pervasive across the country, playing a very important role. And given the fact that we see there are a lot of buzz in next generation technology space because of the kind of work that generative AI is playing. What is your general assessment of actually utilizing some of the next generation technology in order to pep up our service delivery space and also the user experience, both from the customer perspective, also from the government user perspective? If you could, your brief remarks initially.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's a very interesting question. The most important thing is to understand this emerging technologies. Everybody is talking about it, but the plethora of new technologies is only increasing. So every day we come up with new things. Generative AI, we've been talking about last 20 years, but actually it is coming into force now. And similarly, cloud was there, and people laughed at cloud 20 years ago, I can remember. So I think the way the cloud has taken by storm, I think we have seen it. So I think here, if you look at it, I think everybody talked about Indian IT industry, 250 billion, and Indian IT services, 125 billion, and the BPS and other things are also contributing a big way. I think we need to be taking cognizance of a few things, like, because electronics is going to come in a big way, and manufacturing is, PLI is coming in. So lot more things are going to happen in India. While we focused a lot on exports traditionally, I think a lot of focus will come back to India as well from the IT services industry. This is my perception. And the software products industry also will take shape. For example, TCS, as our company itself, products and platforms, we make close to $3 to $3.5 billion. So, which is quite huge, but probably we can do more. I think that's the way we need to look at it. So products and platforms need to go. And the hardware, electronics, etc. are coming into force. The embedded system software, etc. may come into play a big way. And I think everybody talks about global capability centers. It is not just the software services, but engineering R&D centers are coming in a big way in India. And that's where STPI type of organizations are also helping many of the new companies which are coming to India. I think from a TCS, I think we are there almost everywhere except some hardware related things in the IT industry. I think software is like utilities sector, you know. I think people are not understood that when they even look at the market cap, etc. Or we are more like a consumer goods company as well, because almost everywhere without software nothing can be done. I think the cloud adoption, whatever has happened, I think people rushed to cloud during the COVID times. But now more and more domain-specific cloud solutions are coming in. Verticalization is coming in. The FinOps is coming in a big way because people went into cloud crazy, but now they are trying to relook at it, what needs to be on the cloud, how much needs to be on the cloud, etc. So that is a very, very important thing. So FinOps is a big thing which is happening. And people are looking at what value I'm getting from the cloud. This is what I interact with many CXOs across the world. What value they're getting from the cloud is what we need to look at. And the second is, you talked about generative AI, and everybody is talking about generative AI. I think we need to be understanding that it is just a team member in the SDLC cycle or AI cycle. So it's one more member coming into play. And so what the other team members in the team needs to do is very, very important for all of us to rethink and upskill ourselves as well. So some of the mundane jobs will get done. It's not just automation, but much more than automation. So it is exciting and scary as well. So I think we can go on and on, but a lot of coding, data creation, testing, deploy and monitoring, a lot of things will be done by generative AI. A lot of low-code things will happen. Python type of things, probably a lot of things will come through generative AI. So, but the complex, uncertain environment is going to create a lot of jobs as well. So I think while we can be pessimistic, but a lot of optimism needs to be there because world is becoming very, very complex.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
That's where I think.
And also the fact that this new member is very smart.
Yeah.
I mean, so all other has to actually
Smarter.
match the pace and smartness of the new member of AI. If you could further also add to the fact you touched upon the software industry and the kind of contribution it is making. We see it is around 13 billion, but the goal of the country is to reach 100 billion by 2030. In that light, what role do you see next for organization like STPI, which has been hand-holding the industry for last 32 years? What's new actually you see for them? If you could add something on that.
So I think STPI, I think it's been, I think everybody talked about ease of doing business, which is what it has facilitated last 3 decades or 32 years, whatever. I think it's a phenomenal job. And I think there is a good template, a platform, a playbook STPI has created. I think it has to be leveraged by many more industries as well, for many other industries by the government. And whether it's electronics or embedded software and specific areas which they want to focus on. And I think it is not, earlier I think STP has helped in data communication, incubation, everything. I think they're helping startup, etc. Statutory compliances, which is very, very key. But I think some of the things which are getting missed out when you talk about is the physical infrastructure, IT infrastructure is there, but physical infrastructure doesn't mean office space alone. The problem in many of our cities, including Tier 2, Tier 3, probably you'll come to later, the problem even in larger cities is people are not coming to work from the same city. They are not just going to travel 5-10 kilometers. And then hybrid way of working is coming in place a big way. It's not just work from home 100%. So people like to stay, and the type of physical infrastructure available in many of our cities is not adequate, whether be it for hostels for men and women, safe hostels, the safe transportation, easy transportation, and lot of other things which the government has to do, whether central or state government has to do, especially in each of the areas they are operating. And that is getting, though it looks like very operational stuff, actually that will make a lot of difference to the growth of many cities actually. I think that, and then talent also is a big thing. I think I'm not sure, whatever I think IT industry were always struggling with creating their own talent development programs, which we have been doing and we've been doing successfully. And we'll continue to do as well. But what the schools and colleges, universities need to do, I think, especially with generative AI coming in, a lot of syllabus needs to be redone. And I don't think we are prepared for that actually. So it's a wake-up call for all of us to jointly work on this. It's not just the government can do; it is industry, universities. All of us have to work together and create all the new systems and new policies, etc. as required. And policy-wise, I think a lot of things which STPI need to do, probably on the generative AI side. I think people talked about responsible AI, etc. And those are other areas we need to see. And data privacy is going to be very key. And then sustainability. I think by 2030, if we don't become carbon neutral, there will be a big trade barrier to Europe. We cannot export to Europe. Right. And many of the manufacturing company CEOs, MDs have told me as well, they're worried that they will not be able to export to Europe if they don't become carbon neutral. And that's where the state government and central government has to see how to ensure renewable power is available. That actually it looks like, and sustainable technology is coming in a big way. Almost every CXO in the world is talking about sustainability, sustainable technologies. Right. So it's not just, all the climate technologies are going to come in a very big way. I mean, are we really there? Not yet, right? From as a country, as individual states as well. And some of the states are a bit more progressive than others. I think a lot more can be done in this area as well.
I think you touched upon some of the very important thing, and that is very hard these days, especially on next generation technology, as to how a traditional institute can play a very bigger role. Second, you touched on sustainability part, which is really important. Ms. Chahal, I'll come to you because the kind of work that you have been doing is very instrumental. And Mr. Raman did mention about creating an ecosystem within university environment wherein, the women could be, or a female students could be provided a conducive environment to go and study. Two of your organization, both are actually working towards women empowerment and creating a kind of financial independence to them. But we all understand the road is not easy, and you could see from anywhere. I mean, the number of female, even in this audience, will be lesser compared to what it should be. Could you share some of the general challenge that you see across? It could be in STEM, it could be in financial services, it could be in general. What are those, and how actually we can address some of them based on your experience, the kind of work that you have, if you could relate to that?
We're now looking at a market of 700 million users. This fundamental assumption is that, look, internet is a huge catalyst. We're all witness to the smartphone revolution and subsequently the software and the payments revolution, the digital infra. But this didn't exist. So literally we came from a place of vacuum and everything had to be pretty much owned, designed, right from your server rooms to, everything that you need to build. But we
economic mainstream in a big way. So we said we're going to look at three things: employment, entrepreneurship, and now capital, as a catalyst to connect women to the mainstream economy. So we took three sort of major, things on our list. One was remote work. Sir spoke about tier 2 India, tier 3 India. We know mobility is a severe issue, migration is a severe issue. For women, it doubles up. So that was always a challenge at a macro level. And I think one silver lining of COVID is remote work became so universal. And we are seeing massive deconcentration of work, and women are going to be a massive beneficiary of that. Second is, in India, everybody who has a smartphone today is an entrepreneur. Women are taking that to the next level because this creates a lot more leverage for them. So we are seeing informal sector, self-employed, solopreneurs, probably as the fastest growing sector amongst women. And of course, we're making sure we bring in the whole ecosystem capital to them. And third was just access to capital. We know women are under leveraged massively. And we are trying to again consumerize capital for women entrepreneurs, not just at a venture scale. I think venture has a role, microfinance had a role. There's nothing in the middle. So we are sort of creating some levers there.
Wonderful, very encouraging. Mrs. Sridhar, I'll come to you. What ma'am actually said that there is a, ecosystem being created which is around mobile, because it's a very easily accessible device. And we do think a lot of things happening in India, especially on appification. And we are trying to create a kind of app economy and add some value to the dream of India of $1 trillion digital economy. And I know you are heading a couple of centers also where these things are being promoted. Could you share some of your insight? What is this appification or app economy is looking like, and are we on right trajectory in terms of the kind of work that we are doing, or do we need to shift the gear?
First of all, thanks for the invite. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. So one of the biggest things, actually my background is more in video gaming. Yes. So I'll talk from a gaming perspective, how mobile or apps have helped. Just to give you some context in terms of the size of the market, video gaming or mobile gaming, the space is right now about $220 billion a year in revenue. It's expected to grow to almost $600 billion by 2030. Keeping that in mind, one of the biggest problem India has right now is a serious shortage of talent. I know we all talk about that there's a shortage everywhere, but unlike, as I said, it's a $220 billion industry, and we have probably 2% or less than 2% of that market share, while China and US control almost 65% of that market share. So keeping that in mind, one of the things which we need to do, unlike Chinese or American kids who grew up playing video games, I had to rent a console for like 10 rupees to play. That has changed. Luckily for past 15 odd years, our kids are growing up playing video games. So that's a good thing. What that means is more people are going to take up this as a career, and hopefully some of them are going to end up starting companies. So there is a talent shortage, but some of the initiatives the government is taking, the new gaming policy which is coming out has a lot of initiatives which it's focusing on. So I'm very grateful for that from government point of view. The other two other issues which we as industry face is, one, apart from talent, because it's a very hits-driven space, video gaming, developing games, it's just like making a movie. You might fail, you might succeed, and it all takes a lot of money. So you need a lot of incubation help, and that's where what STPI is doing is amazing. We have 2 Center for Excellences which are focusing only on video gaming out of 25. So that's amazing. So we are trying to fund as many startups. In Hyderabad, we just signed on over 13 gaming studios to build games. Every 6 months there are more coming up. So that's amazing. Every startup we've tied up with variety of, just like today it was announced that Indian Angel Network is coming on board. In Hyderabad, as we've tied up with a few local VCs to see if they can come on board on every company which gets incubated. So that's needed. The third thing which I think STPI should help with, let me give you an example. We do, I help out with a conference called Indian Game Developer Conference. It's a 5,000 people event, one of the largest, and STPI is a big sponsor of that event. We invite international speakers to come in, spend time with our studios and all that. And every year, we've noticed that at least 2 or 3 partnerships happen where some of those guys who came in ended up starting a company with a local entrepreneur, which led to like one company as recently as a few months back raised like about $20 million, where an American founder and an Indian founder came together and started it. And that happened, that connection happened during one of these events. So one of the things we need to do is how do we create those networking opportunities for people to come together and meet, like something like this, but more. That's where I think government initiatives are going to come in, where we need to invite talent, because the biggest thing is we do have a few people who can code, who can create things, but we need a lot more. And there's so much we can learn from other countries. So how do we open that up?
Right. You're also part of the startup ecosystem in the Northeast in relation to the STPI. And we do see, for example, in Hyderabad, you do have an ecosystem already in place, which is very supportive. And despite the fact the Northeastern region has a huge potential, but there are some challenges and all, and there are some structural reasons for that. So how has been your experience, especially in the Northeastern region? And what are the things that, some of the things that STPI could do in order to maybe propel the growth there, actually?
Well, I help out with the Kohima Center for Excellence, apart from the Hyderabad one. One big misconception I think people have about Northeast is, oh, वहाँ पे tourism कर सकते हैं because everything is so pretty. These people are really good at service industry. So there is this sort of thinking where that they are all creative people, maybe they will be good at creative stuff. But when we start narrowing down a whole region saying that they would be good for a certain space, you are probably excluding 95% of the people who could do so many amazing things. So while we do have specific focus areas over there, we are trying to generalize it as much as possible because we want to give folks their exposure. What makes a good startup, right? Having a local ready market, right? Is there a way if Swiggy could have started in Northeast? There's not enough people, there's not enough access, right? That could only start in a Hyderabad or a Bangalore or a Chennai, right? So, what they lack is a local market to go after, and that makes it very difficult for them to start local companies, right? Like one of our incubating companies is doing a church automation app, and this being in Northeast, and as most of you know, it's a predominantly Christian state. They have 2,000 churches, so they have a ready local market. So when we saw it, we immediately funded it. We got them on board. We gave, we got them into STPI, and then we took them to VCs and got them funded. We want to find more local startups which have local market to go after, and we also want to see what can digital do for them. Can a next TikTok come from over there, right? Next video game come from there, which doesn't need a local market. So there is that sort of thinking, very unique in terms of we're not trying to generalize them. आप लोग creative में टीको, so we'll focus on that. We're trying to expose them to different things.
Right. I absolutely agree with you, because if you take an example of Israel, for example, there are a lot of things they produce which they will not be able to utilize themselves because of their size, but the kind of implication it has globally, right? So I think a very valid point. Dr. Goel, over to you. Especially the kind of expertise that you come from is data science. And we do believe the conversation that we are having across anything, it's all about visibility. What kind of visibility you have. And based on that visibility, you take decisions. And there, especially in terms of the kind of innovation that has happened in data analytics, especially with the help of AI and machine learning, people are able to actually index things very properly, have a better visibility, take better decisions. What is your general assessment in terms of the opportunity that you see because of this AI stuff? And the challenges that one of his speaker mentioned earlier about the lack of skills person in data science that we have, and how our organization like STPI, which is running some of the program in terms of promoting skills at IITs and different centers, how actually they can further improve that, if you could share something on that.
Sure, Mr. Jale. Hello. Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Jale. Well, I have been working in the travel industry now for 5-6 years, have experience in the fintech industry, in retail, in commerce and all. Let me respond to that question by giving an example that combines generative AI, which has recently come out, and how we can use it in the travel industry. So let's just imagine like 20 years ago, if you had to travel, you needed a paper ticket, right? Even for airlines. Now it's all online, but that is like all said and done, right? So there is no innovation there now. But just imagine you are reading a magazine and you see a picture, right? And you say you want to know more about that place and you want to go there, but you don't know what that place is. You don't know how to get there. So let's just imagine the flow like this. You take a picture. Take a snapshot, right, of that image, upload an app. That app calls a Vision API. It could be a Google's Vision API. It will tell you that place is actually in Mexico, and like it's a pyramid called Chichen Itza. You know, you might have heard of it. And that place has the following parameters. You know, I mean, the best time to go there is November to March because it's an equator, and these are the local cuisines, and like these are the top 10 things. All that will come from ChatGPT. Now, once you have that information, you say, well, my budget is 2 lakh rupees. The ChatGPT or our own trained AI ML, you know, based on historical data will tell you, will guide you as to, well, your airline fare will be 80,000 rupees, your hotel will be 60,000, and so on and so. And if you have a budget of 2 lakh rupees, this is all you can do. So just imagine where we were 20 years ago, and just imagine where we'll go now. This thing still doesn't exist. We have to like work on it. But this is where the combination of like ChatGPT and generative AI, known AI models, and the usage of existing APIs. You don't have to do everything yourself. It's all plug and play. Now about education and having the skill set. See, we don't need like statisticians or mathematicians to work in ML or AI. You just need to have general knowledge as to how to use existing APIs to solve the problems. And these APIs exist in plenty. You know, Google has them, Facebook has them. You know, I'm like, just name it. Every company, every major cloud player has all these APIs. The other thing that we find huge success in the travel industry is that, say for example, if you're doing a search for a hotel, right, in a particular location, and if I know your history, what you have searched before, what you have booked before, there are algorithms, for example, collaborative filtering. There are a lot of like neural network, deep learning algorithms, which will display the results as if that program has read your mind. And that gives a wow experience to the end customer, right? So there are a lot of examples like that. Now, well, I work for an OTA, online travel agency. The challenge that hotels face with OTAs is that they lose a lot of commission, right, on the fees, because the OTAs have to do a lot of groundwork, you have to maintain the company, and do a lot of things. Here we can use the blockchain technology. That is something, that's a new concept that is also coming up. The hotels can list themselves on the blockchain, and as a user, I can go and make a booking there, and that booking will be guaranteed because this will be like a contract between the hotel and myself, right? A lot of work is also being done in that area, and the company who sets up the blockchain can work with a 2 or 3% commission, and the hotels can reduce their prices, so in the end, everyone wins. So I mean, like, quite a few things like this are happening. Now, STPI, I'm like simply amazed at like what STPI has been able to do over last 30, 35 years. If you were to venture more on the AI ML side, one thing that we really and desperately need would be large data banks. Large amounts of data. If you want to train your models, if you want to implement generic AI solutions, then you must have large data banks. So if STPI can collaborate with all these big companies, like smaller big companies that have like all this amount of data that is generated in gigabytes, terabytes, and like petabytes, right? Then it will be a great help. The second thing, So the second thing I was thinking was, if STPI can work with companies to expose their APIs, if they cannot expose data, at least expose the APIs so that third-party solutions can be developed over that. I used to work for a company called DIMS, which is a Delhi Integrated Multimodal Transit System, and we used to collect the location information, the GPS information every 10 seconds. That information would then be passed on to the third-party developers who can identify where the autos are moving. And that would help in exposing that movement for marketing purposes. That was one example. The other thing, I heard from Mr. Raman is on being carbon neutral. I see that STPI is working on EVs, electric vehicles. There is a lot of investment there. But I'm not sure how much carbon neutral that will make us, right? Of course, you can reduce pollution in the cities, but in order to generate that electricity, you're burning coal somewhere else, right? So the carbon is getting released. And I think that it may be time to look into the hydrogen technology, hydrogen-based fuel cells, right? Green hydrogen, solar energy, combine all that, and that is when you will get the true neutral carbon technology. So,
I'll come back to you once again, but I would like you to add something, especially you mentioned about the API and the data, the lot of data which is being generated, and as to how STPI could be part of it and could utilize it in order to do the work that they have been doing. But we do see, a kind of challenges wherein you do not have a kind of data warehouse where you could have a better understanding or better sensitization of the data. And based on that, you could take some of the decisions. Despite the fact that we do have a huge programs like Aadhaar, like GEM, like GSTN, which has huge data. But still these are in silos, and there are genuine reason for that. Security could be one of them. The privacy issue could be one of them. So as an organization or as an entrepreneur, how do you deal with this dichotomy of having a single source of truth from a data warehouse perspective? How actually, if STPI has to think tomorrow, integrating everything, how they should go about it?
Sure. See, data security is important, but there are ways around data security. You can always mask your data, obfuscate your data. So if your social security number or your Aadhaar number, you don't have to expose it. What is more interesting is to know what the transaction that you're trying to capture is about. If it's a hotel transaction or where Aadhaar was used, how Aadhaar was used. It is not important to know who actually used Aadhaar. If we can work with this premise, right, then I think that it will be great if STPI can come up with its own big data solutions. Of course, it would need to collaborate with the industry and convince the industry to share data with it, right? That is there. But then the data will be in petabytes. That's like 10 to the power 15 bytes. That's a huge amount of data. Then how do you access it? Of course, you can do like a simple relational database. You need a big data solution. But if you go to a commercial system like Snowflake and all that, that will cost you like $3 per hour. Obviously, you cannot afford that. So I think innovating around building, your own a big data solution. For example, when India didn't have the supercomputer, we built Param, right? So what we did was we took a lot of machines and then we combined the CPUs to generate Param. Why can't we build a big data solution like that that is extremely cost effective and then we give it to people? One other thing, I want to mention is about quantum computing, quantum AI. Based on what I have read in literature, and I actually very actively follow this, by 2030, quantum computers will become reality. Just last week, I read about, China has come out with a quantum computer with 177 qubits. And just to give you an idea about qubits, if you have 300 qubits in a quantum computer, the amount of information it can store is more than the number of atoms in the universe. Right? That is the capacity of quantum computing. Now, India has a huge presence in the pharmaceutical industry. Why can't we become a leader in drug discovery, new drug design? If you want to design new drugs, new proteins, that requires a lot of computational speed and a lot of management of data. So that is one area I think that we should focus on. Now, the challenge here is, the challenge with quantum computing is when you write a program, it is not like a Java program, right? It is not like .NET. It's not a regular programming language. You have to develop something called quantum circuits. In order to that, you need to have a good understanding of quantum physics. So I think what STPI and similar government institutions can do is they can come together and develop a program around where we provide training in quantum physics, make an understanding as to how the quantum computers can be used. So this is something we have to think about now so that we are ready in 2030.
Wonderful. Mr. Suryansh, we have been talking about AI, and we understand that supply chain management and logistics, these are the area during the pandemic we faced challenges as well as there was innovation. Despite everything closed, delivery were happening, right? You were able to order it online. So these are highly innovative thing. Given the fact that there are a lot of focus on next generation technology, AI, machine learning and all, and what actually it does, it gives you a lot of visibility at what stage is a particular thing is. And you have a greater visibility across all the highways. Could you share some of the trends that you are actually observing which might have a very long-term impact, the way logistic is being managed right now?
Sure, thank you. First off, I'd like to thank STPI and also congratulate them on their 32nd Foundation Day. Thank you for having me here. I think maybe just you talked about the changes in COVID, so let's just start from there and drive that home. Let's do a small thought experiment, and I'd ask the audience here, think back, 5 years, 10 years back. When you were, e-commerce was still there, you had a Flipkart, you had Amazon. How many things would you have got ordered to your home in a month's time? Anyone? Yeah? Probably 2, low single digits. Okay. Now let's think last week, how many things did you get ordered to your home? You probably can't even count it. Strong double digits, right? So that is the big transformation that's happening, where the mode of commerce, the mode that we interact is changing. And we are moving more towards an omni-channel, we are moving more towards convenience, and it's becoming more of an experience economy. And how do we, you and me, experience this? Today when we go out to buy something, we are no more looking at the price or the quality, we're looking at the convenience. How will it get to me, right? And that is the big change that is coming in logistics. It's making logistics sexy, I say, right? Because it's becoming in front of everyone and it's driving commerce. It's becoming a boardroom conversation. So what does this mean? This means for enterprises, they are having, it's gone is the day of those static, models that there's one shop in one point in the city and every week I'll send one truck with same number of goods there. Now it is today, he has ordered, she has ordered single packages. Tomorrow they're not ordering, someone else is ordering. How do you manage all that complexity, right? And that is what is leading to a lot of need for optimization, a lot of dynamic optimization that's there. Now, when you talk about, let's segue into AI now, right? So you talk about how can intelligence or how can tech play an increasing role over there. I think it starts as a pyramid where the foundation layer is visibility. Like if you don't have the data, you're not going to be able to do anything. And I think Dr. Shakti talked a lot about this in terms of the data warehousing and data lake, and it's the same thing in logistics. So right now there has been a big push over the last half a decade towards companies that are creating visibility in supply chain. Now once you've got that visibility, the visibility in and of itself does not do anything, right? But the visibility enables you to start doing things like predictability. So now you start predicting what is going to happen in the future, right? So how is that relevant to us? If we ordered something and it was supposed to reach us tomorrow, and we have, I wanted to be at a function, I wanted to travel tomorrow, the predictability will help tell me, is it going to get to me tomorrow or not, right? Is it going to be delayed or should I replan, etc. Once you've done that, the next is now you want to start making decisions. You want to be able to yourself say, okay, this is going to be delayed. So now instead of, sending it from this route, why don't I send another package from somewhere else, for example. So that's prescriptability. And then finally you get to automation, which is the holy grail, where, things can run in and of itself. But we are, some steps away from that. But this is, the right direction to move in. For AI, I think the one important thing, and now moving maybe away from just logistics as a general concept, I think obviously generative AI, ChatGPT, OpenAI, these are all massive steps. But I think from an very India-centric concept, and I always like to think from that perspective. We need to know that the challenges with something like a ChatGPT is that it's less and less tough to verify the authenticity, right? And there is a potential for the direction of the suggestions to be driven from a different background, right? And that's why it's super important for us in India that we ramp up our investments into AI so that we have our own languages, our own, engines that are not being biased by, a different outcome that someone is trying to drive.
Absolutely, and that will help us in terms of customization as per our own need, and we can do a lot of indigenization in that space. Mr. Bhunesh Kumar, you are somebody who is an insider in the government as the additional secretary with Ministry of IT, and you heard all the speakers coming from diverse background. We had logistic, we had gaming, service. Ma'am has been playing an outstanding role in women empowerment, financial inclusion, and the AI and data science expert with us. Could you share, based on the kind of discussion we have so far, your initial remarks, and maybe I'll do some couple of follow-up questions with you.
Thank you. First of all, let me congratulate everybody here on the 32nd Foundation Day of STPI, and especially the employees from STPI. And I also really want to thank DG Arvindji and his team for creating this opportunity for me to come back to STPI once again. I've had very fond association with STPI, and we have worked together for quite some time, and I can see a lot of familiar faces. So I think it will be difficult to take each and every name, but it's really always a pleasure to be among STPIans and the kind of activities which happen at the STPI. Now, coming to the panel, I think there could not have been a more apt and such diverse panel on this subject today. Let me congratulate the organizers for putting such eminent luminaries on the dais today. Not only they come from very, very diverse fields spread across various kind of activities and sectors, they also come from, I think, different generations, from Suresh to Suryansh. And I really want to highlight this this because if I speak to Suresh and we talk about his generation, the moment I met him, he will talk about how STPI actually established the IT industries in India, how STPI supported the IT industries in its nascent days, and how the IT industry has actually come of age and reached this level just because STPI was there in those days. And hats off to STPI for getting these kind of comments from people of his generation, 30 years, who have worked in the IT industry. Those who are the first generation IT specialists or even IT entrepreneurs who worked from various kind of small places, and how STPI actually helped them with not only the broadband connectivity, the statutory services, also duty exemptions, and whatever way. I mean, today we can club it together and call it ease of doing business. So that really has been a marvelous journey. So each one of you has actually helped the IT industry reach this particular stage. And at some point of time, the bifurcation happens, and which was a big one because of the SEZs. So large number of STP industries actually went to the SEZs. And of late, when we have been talking about STPI and SEZs, we have been talking about almost equal numbers. So it's like 50-50, 50% in STPs and 50% in SEZs. But if you look at the growth path in both the areas, that really has been an amazing journey. And in fact, perhaps that is one of the reasons why we are talking about future of STPI. Because IT industry has reached a level now where I really don't think they need kind of exemptions or financial support or subsidies or those kinds of things. So they are more looking at ease of doing business and maybe expansion into tier 2 and tier 3 cities. Because now tier 1 cities are almost getting saturated, but there are very large number of other industries which are coming to India. Not only domestic players, but also a lot of in terms of foreign direct investments. Suresh also mentioned about the ER&D centers which are coming to India, the GCC centers, even the electronics manufacturing. We'll soon see a growth in the semiconductor area. So these are some of the areas, in my opinion, I personally think that STP can actually play a very, very big role. I keep hearing from a lot of individuals that they are into consulting business of setting up of units. And they are doing it at a very small scale, individual levels. There are some small companies which are doing it slightly at a mid-level scale. But I think at a big scale, STPI can play a very, very major role in this area. So they can be one single shop stop for all the people who want to come and set up whatever kind of IT and electronics industry in India. You have the experience, you have the knowledge, you are partner in many of these schemes. In even scheme like electronic manufacturing cluster, STPI is implementing. So you can also get knowledge about the other schemes, the PLIs, the specs, MSIPs and all those. And then you can play a very, very creative role in creating an ecosystem which helps the industry come to India, set up and grow. So that, in my opinion, can be one of the very important future activities for STPI. Apart from that, one thing which perhaps most people don't see, because whatever we get easily, we always take it for granted. So I don't know how many of you know about the Softex forms. Because the process has become so simplified, it is available in bulk, you just apply online, you get it without even knowing what is happening at the background, how STPI is dealing with that. And then perhaps nobody understands that how important this is as an activity. Please ask the people who are doing exports of goods and what kind of verification process they have to follow, and what kind of difficulties and what kind of channels they have to go through if they have to get their exports cleared. And for an area, especially in the software, where I mean, in the olden days, why this software actually got generated, And people used to send the softwares on floppies or maybe even hard disks, correct? Not on these channels. And the customs guy would say, how do I know what is inside this? And what is the valuation of this? I hope you are not doing a hawala transaction, sending a blank floppy and getting money from the other side. So that is where STPI came into picture. And STPI has played that role. And I think that has been a very, very big support. And I see this support continuing even in future also, that STPI will be continuing this activity. So these two things come to my mind immediately. 2-3 things more. I think the COE ecosystem, which Mupidi has mentioned, Sridhar has mentioned, spread across all the geographies of the country, very large numbers, I think now reaching almost 30. Right from, say, Mohali to Gurugram to Pune and the Northeast Octane, the 8 centers in Northeast, Hyderabad, Bangalore, AI, IoT, big data, automotive, gaming. I mean, all the sectors, what you mentioned, STPI has the centers of entrepreneurships with large number of startups. I think running into almost 2,000 now, maybe more than that. Very large number of startups in almost every field. And implementation of the ministry schemes like NGIS, Genesis, and creating an ecosystem in the tier 2 and tier 3 cities where the IT industry is also moving. So it's going to be a synergy with the big industry and the small startups and all those working together, and STPI can really play that coordinating role. So for me, I think the future, the decade of India and the STPI's roles, these are the few things which might come to my mind immediately.
Right. I think you rightly mentioned about the role that STPI is playing, especially in terms of dispersing the IT industry across the country. But I would like to ask you at the same time, we do see there are a lot of competition in the market emerging. So what has happened, it's no longer the days of 90s where NIC will go to the state and train. So a lot of state, for example, Madhya Pradesh, Jharkhand and all, they have MAP IT, they have JAP IT. So even in the technology, architecture or a hardcore infrastructure space, there are a lot of states themselves actually coming up and trying to set up those plug and play mode kind of infrastructure. So if I have to ask you something, based on your experience working with STPI, having the knowledge, if you have to critically analyze, looking at the future of STPI, you mentioned about the focus on COE, focus on dispersing to the tier 2 cities where there is a lot of opportunity. What should be the 2 key focus area for STPI? Especially from the fact that there are a lot of things going to happen in the research and innovation space, which they are touching up to a certain level. If you could critically analyze something, and which could be a takeaway for the STPI.
I think you made a very, very important point. Gone are the days when I think the districts were dependent only on NIC, or 2 people who were there in the collector's office, one DIO and another ADIO, or a small team of SIO at the state headquarters. The states have come up very well with their own teams, but I think at the same time, the credit goes to the IT industry. And they have taken this role and they have taken this mantle of implementing very large scale projects. Whether you talk about MCA, GSTN, passport, the government has also roped in the private sector in equal way and has not limited itself to its own organizations. And in that light, we have been actually talking about the not only the role of STPI, we also have been talking about the role of NIC in near future. So we are talking about restructuring of NIC. But yes, coming to the domain of STPI, as I mentioned, these are some of the activity which I see immediately. R&D is not really the forte of STPI. STPI has more been a business facilitator. And that is where I see their role. I see also their role in, say, providing data centers in tier 2, tier 3 cities. And they have been the backbone of fast-speed connectivity, high-speed connectivity to the industry. I still see their role in that. I see their role in cloud. So I see role of STPI more as a facilitator rather than getting involved into R&D activities. So maybe perhaps a slight difference with Goel Saab. I think quantum and related activities and the high-powered computing is the domain of CDAC. So there I don't see role of STPI coming into that. CDAC is playing that role. CDAC should get into that. They have created their own microprocessors. They have created Param series. They have created Rudra and perhaps Param Shavak also, where there is a possibility of a commercialization of supercomputers. They are going to be perhaps the arm of quantum computing in the government, which is the subject of DST, not the subject of our ministry, but CDAC will be playing a very, very important role. Quantum will be divided into 4 areas. One will be quantum computing. Quantum communication is already here. A lot of implementations happened. Then there will be quantum materials and there will be quantum sensors. So CDAC will be playing a major role as far as quantum computing is concerned. So I personally think that infrastructure and facilitation are the forte of STPI, and not only just limited to IT and software companies or software services and software product companies, but also in manufacturing. Also in manufacturing, I see a very, very important role because if we see a growth of semiconductor companies and the ecosystem, related ecosystem coming to India in near future, I think once again STPI can play a very important role in partnership with the ISM, India Semiconductor Mission. They can work together and they can do a wonderful work.
Absolutely, and also STPI can sensitize some of its partner in quantum knowledge sharing, because that's, as I said, is going to be a very important milestone for the country. We all are looking at 2030 and having some real use cases of quantum computing in India. So we are in the last leg of the panel discussion and we have around 10 minutes. So we would like to take questions from the audience, and feel free to ask anything you have. Please identify yourself, your name, your organization, and ask any one of us. We'll be very happy to take few of your questions. I'll request one of my colleagues to help with the mic. In the first row.
Thank you for the enlightening discussion out here. My name is Anurag Agrawal. I just have one particular question. I know that STPI has set up a different center of entrepreneurship and all those things in all the new age technologies out here. But simultaneously, the focus shouldn't really be like all those center of entrepreneurship have been really set up on the services side, on the product side. As has been mentioned in some of the panelists out here, we shouldn't lose sight of the hardware and the manufacturing part of it. That is one of the questions. I don't know whether Mr. Kumar would be able to help it or Mr. Raman would like to answer it. But that is one of the sectors which I feel that STPI should help, because as far as the vision of the government is concerned, manufacturing like chips.
So basically you are saying that from service to we need to move toward hardware also, and what role there STPI could play in. Any one of you could take, otherwise DG STPI is there, I'll go to him.
I think you are endorsing what I have been saying. You're just endorsing what I'm saying is that STPI can actually play an important role. So he's saying exactly the same thing, that apart from the COEs which have happened in the services sector, STPI should come up now to do something for ease of doing business related to activities related to manufacturing.
Absolutely.
I hope you mean that.
Probably just.
Oh, correct. I mean, DG STPI is there.
No, I think, just
please, Mr. Ram.
STPI can be called ESTPI, Electronics and Software Technology Parks of India. So STPI is not that lost.
Right. Wonderful.
I just had to add something to it. If you look at the top 5 biggest companies in the world, right? They're all kind of software companies, biggest billion-dollar or trillion-dollar companies. Manufacturing doesn't need too many companies. You know, if you look at how many companies make chips, right? You can count them in one hand in the world, right? So thinking that we're going to incubate manufacturing companies from Center for Excellences doesn't make sense at all. it does make sense, and there are initiatives which government seems to be doing, which is like $10 billion fund to help with some of these things. But software, 10 people can sit together, build something which could be worth $1 billion someday, right? Or can create exponential jobs. So there is no comparison. And so what STPI is doing is totally makes sense. It is within its competency. It knows how to help companies start. And as Sir has mentioned, we have already incubated over 1,000 odd this thing. And this is creating a really awesome entrepreneur mafia, right? The STPI incubated companies, and they're all interacting, learning from each other. So this is only going to get better. So I think comparison is kind of unfair, electronics or manufacturing versus software.
Right. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon. Myself, Kapil Parashar from Vyom Group. Thanks for all of you. We are working for skill development and the healthcare sector for last 7 to 8 years. So we have created a e-call center concept in the era of Corona. So the universities, students, basically women are opening their own call centers in Bihar and UP, Eastern UP, and this is very successful at that time. But right now, IT has not involved in BPO schemes in the UP and Bihar. They are working on the Northeast. So my question is that this scheme, I think the UP, Bihar and the North India will also get the support of the BPO schemes. That is my question to the government. Thank you.
Thank you for raising it. I think this demand has come from various quarters. Not only individuals, entrepreneurs, IT industry, including politicians. We have received this demand. The older version is closed. We have always talked about next version. So we'll think about that. So thank you for raising that.
Do we have any more question? If you would like to ask, you can raise your hand and I'll send the mic. Before somebody raise a hand, Mr. Hell, I'll come to you. We have been talking about the digital, and digital is going to play, that's pervasive. In terms of women empowerment, especially on making women part of a digital ecosystem that we are creating, what are some of the building blocks that you feel we need to put in place so that our women or female leaders should become part of the board discussion itself rather than being at the peripheral?
Absolutely. I think we made some steps. I think the biggest contributor to mainstreaming of women in the economy, I think, is the digital ecosystem. I think it's the largest leveler. Whether somebody is in a large city or a small town, I think we're seeing that. Couple of things. One is more pipeline of women in STEM. I think India's made huge strides. We are doing better than, let's say, a decade ago. More number of women in engineering colleges, more number of women in women-only engineering colleges, more women in science research. I think that talent pipeline is very important for us to go all the way. Second is, I guess, we do need a lot of policy making it across levels. So, for example, I know we legitimized remote work as a real thing, and I think a lot more can be done along the way so that a lot of women who are dropping out mid-careers or who perhaps would like maybe shorter maternity leaves but more remote would, I think these are small steps for us to take. And third is, I think we just need to make larger provisions of capital, whether it is at the bank levels, whether it is within the private sector, whether it is reinventing microfinance. I think we're going to witness reinventing of microfinance for a more digital first audience. If my mother took a loan for farming or buying goats, chances are, as a daughter, I don't want the same loan. I want a loan to maybe become a digital entrepreneur or an entrepreneur that serves the local economy. But my connection is going to be all digital. So we are definitely seeing a very new class of entrepreneurship emerge. Women are a big part of this segment because of the inherent advantages built in. And I guess a lot of our job is to make sure we keep doing the guardrails in place. I mean, digital payments is a guardrail. Internet availability, bandwidth, cheaper data, these are all guardrails. And I think if we keep investing in them at the base, we're going to see a lot more results at the end of it.
Absolutely. We have one more minute if any one of you would like to. Okay. Can somebody pass a mic to him?
Hello. Yeah, good afternoon all. My question is to Suresh sir and Dr. Shakti sir.
Can you identify yourself and your organization?
Yeah.
Your name and all.
My name is Shaili Sharma. I joined STPI 2 months back. And my question is to Suresh sir and Dr. Shakti sir. How do we get greater pie of software product ecosystem of the world? Today we see a less of success stories such as Zoho, Freshworks, Pinnacle, etc. However, when it comes to core sectors like energy, logistics, aviation, we are still far away in these sectors. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Raman, if you can take.
Yeah. So thanks. I think products, platforms is always a discussion which is happening in this IT industry for a very long time. And while there is, I think definitely there is, what you said is true, that whether we have achieved enough or whether we can achieve more is always differently to be discussed. But if you look at many of the top IT company service providers also, I think many of us are also having our own products and platforms, and it's doing extremely well. Actually, I don't think we publicize that. We talk about some of the other companies, but for example, I told you about TCS itself has about $3 to $3.5 billion per annum. We make only on products and platforms, which is more than 12% or 15% nearly of the revenues. Whether it's enough or, I think that's always debatable, right? Similarly, even the other IT service companies, and definitely they have their own products and platforms. But definitely there is a lot more we can create, like this other names, Sogos, Freshworks of the world. I think that's where STPI is already trying to do a lot of big role there. And not only that, they're getting into tier 2, tier 3, which is where we need to get those products and platforms coming from, not just from the cities. I think I think the right infrastructure needs to be there, the plug and play, etc. people talked about. But it's also about the perception of only engineers should be there and the IT industry is there, especially from the startups and some of the products, new platforms coming up. I don't think we need to look at diverse talent actually, because user interface, customer experience is going to be very key. A lot of arts graduates are also required, and psychologists are also required for many of the applications development, which is that's where I think we talk about women only on different aspects, but women in tier 2, tier 3, I think that's where we need a lot of products and platforms to come in. Diversity is very, very key for the products and platform space, where creativity is also required. The more diversity, I think the more products and platforms will evolve.
And diversity also brings a lot of newer ideas and new innovation. So with this, we come to the conclusion. Yeah. Would you like to add something?
Yeah,
okay.
I'd just like to add, because we touched on an area which is close to my heart. As a startup that's built in India and now we're selling SaaS solutions globally, I think, and it was Mr. Ajay Chaudhary earlier in the session had also mentioned that we need to go, we have a large pool of talent, tech talent available, and now we need to go more up the value chain, away from pure services towards more, building products. And I think Mr. Suresh touched upon it earlier with cloud. That SaaS has given us that opportunity. And India is currently, these are things which are just emerging. You'll see them more as you go along. But India is already number 3 globally in terms of SaaS companies. And as you talked about Freshworks, you talked about Zoho. These are all, there are going to be increasingly more SaaS companies coming, purely because it's the availability of qualified English-speaking talent is high in India. It's low cost, and the ability to then build solutions for the global market that would pay you a larger amount. That arbitrage is just too good, right? So India is going to emerge. And when you think about the future, we are 9,000 days away from turning 100 as a country, right? At that point, we are going to have 21% of the global workforce and 20% of the world's middle class in India. What that tells me is there are 2 big directions that we as software, 2 big opportunities. One, we're going to have a massive market, probably the biggest market in the world as a consumption base, right? So it's not just selling abroad, it's not just building software for abroad. It's building things that can be consumed in India. We'll have a large middle class. And then 2, we can actually build large softwares, SaaS solutions that can go global. And there I'd invite, STPI, the Ministry of Electronics and Technology, on the role that they can play to allow, these young SaaS companies. Already we are leaders in services, right? We have one of the top 3, top 5 in the world on the panel as well. How can, the large services companies that have done it globally help and work closely with the new age SaaS companies? How can the department and how can the ministry help cut some of those barriers for foreign investments, for IPOs? All of these will be big levers that will further the SaaS industries. And then the answer to your question, you'll see many product and SaaS companies coming out of India.
Thank you.
So I guess your question was also around, if I understand correctly, that how can we be leaders in other areas like energy and all? So one thing, there is a lot of innovation happening in the field of energy, and I actually follow it very closely myself. For example, the usage of hydrogen as fuel and hydrogen cells. Government initiative, the government support is necessary for any industry to work and to flourish. So I'll give you an example. EVs, the electric industry is flourishing because there's support from the government, right? You get rebates on the vehicles you purchase. Similarly, there was an ethanol industry that came up earlier where we wanted to generate fuel using sugar cane or using corn, but there was not much support for it. And that industry eventually has, it's not flourishing, let me say. Similarly, for the hydrogen industry and the fuel cell industry, recently the US Senate and the US government has passed a bill saying that you can, they're giving heavy rebates if you employ hydrogen-based solutions. In order to generate 1 gallon of hydrogen, it costs around $5 as opposed to $3 for petrol or like gasoline. But if the government gives a subsidy, right, on the usage of hydrogen vehicles and hydrogen fuel cells, subsidy of the order of 50% or 60%, then just imagine the amount of, just imagine the benefit, the hydrogen industry will have. And it will take us to being carbon neutral much faster because there is no carbon involved here at all. For EVs, in order to generate electricity, in order to generate batteries for EVs, that is an extremely carbon intensive industry, right? So we have to start. So unless there is a push from the government, and industry generally cannot flourish that easily.
Over to you, sir. Last word to you.
Thank you. In fact, I would go a step beyond. When we talk about services company, product companies, the identities and the lines are disappearing very fast between software and hardware also. Actually, in fact, it is more of devices which are embedded devices. So partly, I think that will answer your question also. When STPI is talking about COEs, it is not just apps. It's actually devices which have both the hardware as well as the embedded software component. So there has to be a gradual transition. And obviously, when Suryan says that we are moving up the value chain, so a lot of software products are emerging from India. A lot of companies are also emerging from India. And I think when you say that the government should look into that, the Software Industry Promotion Division in the ministry is already seized of the matter. iSpirit is the one, that organization which is leading that how to promote the software product ecosystem in the country. So something is being worked on that. So what I will say is that it's a overall ecosystem which works together. Things cannot work in isolation. So all that has to work as one unit, and where the STPI can play an important role. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. All the ecosystem partner has to work in tandem with each other. And I think this is the right word to end this very nice and very esteemed panel discussion. I think you have been a great audience, so thank you so much, and thank you all of you for sharing your views very freely, very independently, and quite candidly on different topics. So thank you so much. Thank you.
I think we must thank Mr. Mohammad Ujale for a wonderful coordination of this session.
Thank you so much.
Thank you once again. As Shri Bhuvnesh Kumarji rightly said, we couldn't have had a more apt panel to bring to the platform the voices and opinions of different sectors from the length and breadth of the country. To present a memento to our esteemed panel members, I now request Mr. Subodh Sachan, Director, Startups and Innovation, STPI, to join us on stage, please. Shri Bhuvnesh Kumarji. Shri Suresh Raman. Miss Sairi Chehel. Thank you for doing the honors, sir. I now request Mr. Amit Bansal, Director, STPI, to join us on stage, please, and present the memento to Shri Sridhar Mupedi. Dr. Shakti Goyal. Shri Suryansh Jalan. And our wonderful moderator, Mr. Muhammad Ujale. If our panel could please inch closer for a group picture so that we could capture the moment. That brings us to the end of today's program. As we come to an end, I'm sure all of you would agree that this Foundation Day serves as a reminder of unwavering dedication, passion and resilience that has fueled the growth of STPI over the last 32 years. We now have lunch being served in the adjacent hall. We hope all of you had a good time and it would be lovely catching you there. We once again thank you for your time and presence here. Without your presence, the event would not have been the same. Thank you so much and wish you a great day ahead. Thank you, sir.
Very great thanks to Sonali, who has been wonderful MC for the event today. Thank you, Sonali. I think it was a great, conducting the two sessions overall. From all the team STPI, we thank you for your, time, support, and also, the guidance and everything altogether. So thank you once again. And I would request a memento, Vikasji, a memento to be given. Yes. Please. Yes, yes.
So, I am a financial consultant and I love associating with such meaningful projects full of vision. And I have been working with the team of STPI, with Sir, and it doesn't feel like I worked with them for the first time. So welcoming, full of vision and passion. And behind the scenes, I have seen how much hard work goes into this. Like both sir used to be going through the script, making changes at 1:30 or 2 a.m. over the past few weeks. So thank you for making me feel like home. Thank you, sir.